Okay, so we are doing lesson 83, multiplying decimals by decimals. The first little box there says a place value after the decimal point is called a decimal place. You've heard me say this lots of times. I don't know if I specifically told you that that's what it's called, but I would say how many places after the decimal, right? So in question 1, how many decimal places does each number have? 201 decimal 4. How many numbers after the decimal? Just 1, okay? You can go answer the rest of them. Just count the numbers after the decimal. Okay, number 2. Change each decimal to a fraction with a denominator of 10, 100, or 1,000. So we want a decimal fraction, right? So 0.2, if I asked you to change that to a fraction, 100% of you would say to me, decimal 2, 2 tenths. Got it, 2 in the tenths column. One of the later ones. 5.1, change it to a fraction with a denominator of 10. I would change it to 5 1/10. Or if they wanted an improper fraction, I could go 5 times 10 is 50 plus 1 is 51 tenths. So 5 1/10 or 51 tenths, either would be right. Okay? You finish the rest of them. Just remember, however many decimal places, that's the number it goes over. If it's decimal 25, it goes over 100 because there's 2 decimals, 2 zeros. Compare the number of zeros in the denominator of the fraction to the number of decimal places. What do you notice? I just told you that. We've been doing this over and over again, so you'd notice that they match. Okay? Shade squares to show each amount. I don't know quite how I'm going to draw this because I can't draw 100 squares every time, so I'll just show you the first one, okay? So, all right, let's try. Well, it's not terrible, but it's not good. Okay, so there's my hundreds. Maybe I can keep that the whole time. Okay, so 2 tenths, so they have shaded 2 tenths. 2 tenths, right? 1, 2. 2 out of 10. Of 3 tenths. 3 tenths. So this was 2 tenths, this is 3 tenths. Where they overlap is what we want to know. So here, here, here. And how many's there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 100, not 6 tenths, because 6 tenths would be like all the way shaded in over here. These 6 little boxes are 6 out of 100. So 2 tenths times 3 tenths, I didn't even say 3 tenths, is 6 100ths, okay? Now, all right, I don't want to erase everything because I can't draw that every time, so I'll just erase what I colored in. All right, so this was 2 tenths. Okay, so we're back where we need to be. All right, oh, geez Louise, forgot those ones. All right, it's getting sloppier, but you can see. I'm only gonna do one more of it because I can't keep drawing those hundreds of squares. So they want 2 tenths of, well, that's actually times they've got, times 8 tenths, right? Okay, so, well, I could have kept that one. So we can do it either way, it doesn't matter, but we want 2 tenths colored in one way and 8 tenths colored in the other way, which leaves 2 blank, right? So I'm going to start here. Okay, 2 tenths of 8 tenths, which means the part that we care about is where it overlaps. So here to here, here to here. So it's 2 by 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So that's 16 1/100ths. 2/10 of 8/10, 16 1/100ths. You do the last one by yourself. Okay, so number 3. Pardon me, number 4. 4, write a multiplication sentence for each figure. So you've got your box, I'm not going to draw it all, and they've got 3 blocks wide and 7 blocks long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what's colored in the graph. 3 this way, 7 this way. So what would the multiplication statement be? Well, this way it would be 3/10, right? Because it's 3/10 this way. And this way it would be 7/10. So 3/10 times 7/10. And what is it? 3 times 7 is 21. So 21 1/100ths. Remember, when you're multiplying, you just multiply right across the top and across the bottom. Okay? The next one, well, actually, I won't do the next one because that's probably too easy and you can guess what it would be. Let's try the last one. Okay, so they've got their big box and they've got 4. They've got 4 colored in and it goes 7 long. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. So this is what's colored in, 4 by 7, right? So this way, it would be 4/10, and this way, it'd be 7/10. Well, I guess I only need to break times once, right? And 4 times 7 is 28, so it'd be 28 out of 100. Okay? You go answer the rest of the question. All right, number 5. Multiply these fractions. 3 1/100ths times 5/10. When you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 3 times 5 is 15. 100 times 10, I'm just going to add an extra 0 to 100. 1, 2, 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3 zeros. 15 1,000ths. Okay? That's the only one I'm going to do on that question because I think it's really easy and you can handle it. Okay, number 6. Look at your answers to question 5. When multiplying fractions with a denominator of 10, 100, 1,000, how can you find the number of zeros in the denominator of the product? I just showed you. When it's 5/10 times 10 1/100ths, all you have to do is count the zeros. If there's 3 zeros, I add 3 zeros. So it says, how can you find the number of zeros in the product? Just count the zeros in the 2 numbers, okay? Number 7, to find each product, first change each decimal to a fraction and multiply using the rule for multiplying fractions. Then change your answer back into a decimal. Okay, so the first example says decimal 3 times decimal 7, right? So they want us to change them to fractions. Okay, decimal 3 is 3/10. Decimal 7 is 7/10. We're going to multiply across the top. 3 times 7 is 21. 10 times 10 is 100. 2 zeros, 2 zeros. Got it. 21 1/100ths. Now they want me to change 21 1/100ths back to a decimal. 21 1/100ths would be decimal 2 1 because my 1 has to be in the hundredths column. 2 decimal places, 2 decimal places. Okay? I'll do one more with you because that was just the example. Let's choose 5. Why not? V. All right. 0.05 times 0.03. Okay. Going to change it to a fraction. I have 2 decimal places, which means I'm going to have 2 zeros on the bottom. It's out of 100. That's in the hundredths column. There's lots of ways to figure this out. So I have 5 1/100ths and same 2 places. So I'm going to have 2 zeros and it's 3 out of 100. I'm going to multiply straight across. 5 times 3 is 15. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. So 15 10,000ths it comes out to. And then I've got to make sure that I get my 15 in the right place, right? So my 5 would have to be in the 10 thousandths column. So this would be the 10 thousandths, 1 thousandths, hundredths, tenths, decimal. Hundreds, tenths, or tenths, hundreds, thousandths, 10 thousandths, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. Okay. You guys can go finish that. How can you find the number of decimal places in the product without multiplying? Count the zeros. That's how you know. Okay? Second page. Okay. Multiply the decimals as if they were whole numbers. So they're giving us the decimal 28 times decimal 4, right? They want us to pretend that these don't have decimals. So it would be 28 times 4, okay? Let me see if I can do that in my head. 28 and 28 would be 56, and double that would be 112. All right, 28 times 4 is 112. Now, decimal 28 has 2 decimal places, and decimal 4 has 1 decimal place, so we need 3 decimal places. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. So it's decimal 1, 1, 2. Okay? Let's see if we can do it on our own. Using the rule given above, multiply the decimals in your notebook. All right, I can do that. Not really my notebook, but you know. 0.5 times 0.8. We're going to pretend that they're just regular numbers and go 5 times 8. 5 times 8, 40. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So it's 40. Then we go how many decimal places? 1 here, 1 here. So we go boop, boop. Decimal 4. I'd take decimal 4, I'd take 0.4, I'd take 0.40. It's all right. Okay, let's try another one. We'll try D. 0.15 times 0.8. Okay, we're going to pretend they're whole numbers. 15 times 8. All right, let me think about this. 10 times 8 is 80. 5 times 8 is 40. So 80 and 40 is 120. Now I got to count up my decimal places. 1 here, 2, 3. 2 here, 1 there, so that's 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So it equals 0.120 if you like. Okay? And I'll do the last one, just because, why not? Okay, so it's 0.8 times 0.46. Okay. So we're going to pretend they're regular numbers. 8 times 46. All right. 8 times 4 is 32. So that would 8 times 40 would be 320. I'm going to put that over here so I don't forget. And then 8 times 6 is 48. So 320 and 348 would be 8, 6, 368. So 8 times 48 is 368. Now I have 1 decimal here and 2 here. There's 2 after the decimal, right? That is right, right? Yes, decimal 46. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So it's 0.368. Okay, you go finish the rest of the question. Okay, number 9. Round each decimal number to the first digit from the left that is not a 0. This is called the leading digit, okay? The first digit from the left that is not a 0. So the first example they give us is 0.0237, okay? And remember, I've told you this before, when you have wavy equals lines, it means equals approximately, or is approximately. So 0.0237 is approximately, that shows that you've rounded. The first digit that is not a 0 from the left. So coming from the left, the first digit that's not a 0 would be right there. So we are going to round the decimal that too. So that means we got to look next door. What does the 3 say? If it's 0 to 4, that your number stays the same. 5 or above, we round up. 3 says stay the same, so it'd be 0.2. Okay? Try the second one with you. Decimal 0.00389. Okay, so we're going across. First number that's not a 0 is here. Then I look next door. The 8 says you got to round up. So 3 becomes 4. So it's 2 zeros in front of the 3, right? Yeah, decimal 0.003. Yeah. So the 3 says round up, so it's 0.004. Oh, and remember your wavy equal signs, because it doesn't equal that exactly, right? Okay, you guys go do the rest. Remember, when in your answer, you should only, you should be dropping numbers. You should only have the numbers up till the first number are not a 0, right? Okay, go do that. Number 10, estimate the product. Well, they've given us 2.1 times 6.8. If I was going to round those numbers, there's no zeros here, right? So if I was going to round those numbers, we're not going to round it to here because there's nothing behind it to help us. So I'm thinking we should round it to the 1. So 2.1, I look next door, the 1 does stay the same. So 2.1 rounds to 2, 6.8, 8 says round up, so we're gonna go with 7. 6.8 is closer to 7, so 2 times 8 is 14. Okay? That seemed like an odd one to start with, but. Okay, so 6.54 times 3.417. Now, here's another thing that I should tell you. When you are rounding numbers, if we round this to 1 decimal place, we need to round this to 1 decimal place as well. And it's only accurate to, like, if you have 2 decimal places here and only 1 here, it won't be accurate. So whatever we pick, we got to do for both, okay? So, what are we going to round these to? Well, I don't think we should round them to whole numbers because we've got more than 1 decimal place. This won't round to anything if we go to 3, so I'm thinking we go to 1 decimal place. So we're looking at 6.5. What does the 4 say? 4 is under 5, so it stays the same. So 6.5, 4 turns to 6.5. Now, we're going to go to the first place here, so I look next door. The 1 says stay the same, so 3.4. Right? So you can use a calculator for that if you like. You can also stack them up and multiply. It makes no difference. Your choice. Okay? 3.25. Actually, I won't do the very next one because I'm sure you guys can handle them. So let's try the last one. So 35.78 times 46.72. So how about we go to the first decimal place? I don't think they wanted us to go to whole numbers with this. Do you think? All right, we'll see. So 35.78 would be 35.8 because the 8 says round up, times 46.7 because the 2 says 7 stays the same, and then you can use your calculator. Okay? All right, estimate the product, then place the decimal point correctly in each answer. Okay, so super easy. 7.8 times 4. Okay, so 7.8 times 4. Well, 7.8 is about 8, right? It would round up to 8. So 8 times 4, which means our answer should be somewhere around 32. So where do we have to put the decimal? The answer they gave us was 312. Where do we have to put the decimal to make it close to 32? Right here. 31.2. That's as close as we can get to 32. Okay, let's try another one. 35.60 times 4.8. Okay, 35.6. we're gonna round it to the whole number. So 6 says round up, so that's gonna become 36. And 4.8, the 8 says round up, so that's gonna be a 5. 36 times 5, okay, well 30 times 5 is 150. I'll put that down there so I remember. And 6 times 5 is 30, so we got 180. So our answer should be somewhere around 180. And the number they gave us is 17088. And we're trying to get somewhere around 180. So I think if we put it here, and it's 170.88, that's as close as we can get, okay? You guys go do the rest of the question. All right, 12. Estimate each product, then correct the answers that are wrong. Okay, 3.4 times 2.01. Okay, so 3.4 rounds to 3, and 2.01 rounds to 2, so we're looking for an answer somewhere near 6. And they said the answer is 6.834. So that one's correct. You don't have to correct that. Okay, I'm going to do one more with you. We'll do B. 3.4 times 2.05. Okay, 3.4 is going to round to 3. Right, because the 4 says stay the same. 2.05 going to stay as 2 because the 0 says stay the same. 3 times 2 is 6. The answer they've given us is 0.697. Is 0.697. Is the decimal in the right place? Is that close to 6? No, it's not close to 6. The decimal should have been here. So you are going to correct that one and change where the decimal is. Okay? You guys go answer the rest of the questions. Okay. Number 13. Multiply as if the numbers were whole numbers, then estimate to place the decimal point. Okay. Multiply as if they were whole numbers. So 2.7 times 3.6. Right? So they want us to pretend they're whole numbers. So 27 times 36. Oh my Lord, I can't do that one on my head. 27 times 36. 6 times 7 is 42. Carry the 4. 6 times 2 is 12, and 4 is 16. Skip a row. 3 times 7 is 21. Oh, that doesn't go there. 21. And a 2 goes up. 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 is 8. So 2 and nothing is 2, 6 and 1 is 7, 8 and 1 is 9. So we have 972, okay? But look at, this is about, 2.7 is about 3, and 3.6 would round to 4. So 3 times 4, we're looking for an answer somewhere around 12, right? So where are we going to put the decimal in 972 to make it as close to 12 as it could be? Well, if I put it here, it would be 97. If I put it here, it'd be 972. So if I put it here, it would be 9.7, which isn't that close to 12, but it's as close as we can get. Because when we rounded 2.7, we lost 3/10. And when we rounded 3.6, we lost 4/10. So our number's not as close to 12 as we would like because we dropped quite a bit when we rounded it, okay? But we did it correctly. I'm just showing you that when you round, the further you are away from where you're rounding, the further away your answer will be as well. Okay, you guys go answer the rest of 13. 14, A times B equals 0.6. All right, write as many possible values for A and B as you can find. Okay, well, that could be all sorts of things. We could have 0.6 times 1. We could have 6 times 0.01. We could have 60 times 0.01. There's tons of things you could do with tenths. You could also have 0.2 times 0.3. 2 tenths times 3 tenths would give you 6 tenths. There's a million things you can do with that, okay? So go shoot for 2 on your own, beyond what I did, okay? A yard has dimensions, somebody's yard, of 8.5 meters by 5.3 meters. It's not a very big yard. What is the area of the yard? Well, it's 8.5 times 5.3, right? So you've got lots of ways that you can solve that. It doesn't tell you what you have to do, so you do what you want. You can multiply it, you can pretend that they're whole numbers. 3 times 5 is 15, 3 times 8 is 24, and 1 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25, 5 times 8 is 42, 5, 10, 5, 4, right? And then I could say, well, there's 2 decimal places, so I put it in there, right? So remember, 8 times 5 is 40, so you're looking for an answer somewhere around 40, okay? So if you get somewhere close to 40, you're probably right. And remember, because it's area, it's in square units. In this case, it would be meters squared. A bottle holds 0.7 liters of liquid. How many liters will 2.5 bottles hold? Okay, so 2.5. All right, got it. And it says change, the hint is to change the fraction to a decimal. So here's our fraction. This is a piece of cake. So if we change a half to a decimal, if you have a half of a dollar, what do you have? 50 cents, right? A half is 0.5. So 2.5 is 2.5 times 0.7, right? 2.5 bottles, 7.7 liters per bottle. All you have to do is multiply it out. You can do it on paper, you can do it in your head, you can do it with a calculator. They didn't give you any instructions, so you do what makes sense to you. Okay? Have a good day.